Now to start this project, we have to get these Castor wheels off the ground. So instead I'm going to use a transfer board and this drill case and try to sort of drive it up on there. On a scale of 0 to safety, I don't know where this exactly ranks, but both of the Castor wheels are now off the ground. This is, yeah. This right here is some quality rubber. Look at the difference. Now you're probably thinking, why is that tire so skinny? It's because there's no air in it yet. But these are 4-ply tires. 4-ply rating, max inflation 50 PSI. These are stupid little 2-ply ones and they're bald. Looks like we've got some tubes here as well. Oh good, they have the 90-degree valve stems. I totally forgot about that when I was ordering them. You have to have 90-degree valve stems on these because they have to stick out right here and they have to be able to clear this as it turns. There's barely any room there for that to clear. So you have to have 90-degree valve stems for the Castor wheels on this chair. For this job, you're gonna need some tools, probably not this many. Maybe like a crescent wrench. You'll definitely need an air pump, which is over here. Well, that's a big box to power it with. You need a 3/4 inch end wrench, one that's pretty thin because it has to be able to fit between the tire and the housing there. Then you're also going to need a 1/2 inch socket for the nuts on the edge here. But the way these things work, and what makes them so strange, is the bolts do not go all the way through. Most of the time on these chairs, there's a single bolt and a nut on the other side. But if you notice here, it looks like there's a bolt head on each side. So what you have to do is get your 1/2 inch socket, get it on here, get your 3/4 inch end wrench in here, break it loose. Okay, let me pull this one bolt out, take your wrench off, then we'll switch to the other side. What the heck? Okay, so as I said, it's weird. The wrench will fit on one side, but not the other. There's nothing in there for it to grab on. So just take your 1/2 inch driver and pull this out as well. Oh, I see. So leave your wrench over here and then take the bolt off the other side. So what you're gonna have to do is look down inside here. You can see that looks kind of round. And this side looks more like something you'd hit with a wrench. So as you're holding this side, then you take this other one out of here. Okay, second bolt's removed. And this side has a spacer that'll fall off. There we go. And then you can pull this inner assembly out. If you do get one of these wheels off and you can't get this pin to come out, it's really easy. Flip the thing over, stick one of the bolts in by hand, just a little ways, and then just hit it with a wrench until it comes through. The reason you put the bolt in is so you're not damaging the threads. Just tap on it a little bit, and there we go. It pops right through. Now, to get this tire apart, you're gonna need some Allen wrenches. Let out most of the air. This is very important. Let out the air before you remove these fasteners. I forgot, there's tire slime in there. Ugh. Okay, let out most of the air. Now, this part would be a lot easier with a Allen driver that you could stick into a ratchet, but I don't know where mine are. So I'm having to use this old school stupid manual way of doing things. There's nuts on the back, but they're captive inside these little plastic shrouds, so you don't have to worry about them spinning. So yeah, just take your Allen wrench and remove all these bolts. Okay, once all these Allen bolts are loose, you can pull this entire assembly out of the way. Now you want to remember that hole is going to have to index with the new tube, so pay attention to that. And then just going to use your thumbs and push the bottom half down. And this little thing is just going to flop around in here, so keep track of that. Move those to the side. Now here we have our tire with our tube. We're going to be replacing both of these, so just throw it away. Now here's our new tires and new tubes. When you're installing these, I found it's easiest to put a little bit of air in this tube. You'll want to put in just enough so it just barely starts to take shape. Like that. That's about good there. Alright, so take your tube, cram it inside the tire here. Or in my case, have someone else do it for you, because that's really difficult to do. I've got our tube in there. I want to make sure it's about as lined up as it can be. We're going to take our rear hub assembly here. Yeah, all four of the nuts should still be stuck in there. If not, just keep track of them. Now, this thing has a notch on it, as you can see here, and this is where the valve stem has to go. So as you're putting this in here, you have to pay attention to how you line that up. So the valve stem is in that little cutout. So there we go. Okay, I should probably remove this sticker. I can't stand it when they use glue like this, and it makes the tire all disgusting looking. Okay, now we've got, get this thing lined up here again. Make sure our tube is where it's supposed to be. Looks like we're good there. Do not forget this piece. This has to go in here. And it just sort of flops around, so. Now, there's a couple different schools of thought for reinstalling this. One is removing all of these bolts and lining everything up and then putting them back in. But in my case, since I've done this a lot, I like to leave them attached. Like I said, you have to make sure this thing stays in the middle because it's gonna go in here. So basically, just take your hole here, and that's where the valve stem goes through. And as you put that down on here, you sort of eyeball these holes with these bolts. And then just sort of push it down like that. Now the other method is just take all these out, and then you can just look down through here. See how you can see light all the way through there? That means it's lined up, that means it's lined up perfectly. You can line up all four of these that way and make sure this tube is there as well. That's another way of doing it. The one thing you want to make sure of though when you're putting this in is that that tire tube is not getting pinched between these two plastic parts. But if it's not inflated very much, there should be plenty of clearance and you shouldn't have to worry about it. And looks like we're good to go. You can see that this little inner part, is still in there, so we're good. So we go ahead and tighten down all four of these bolts now. And we don't want to tighten them all down completely all at once. Just turn them all just a little bit until they grab. Hopefully we won't be using a broken Allen wrench. And there you can see all four of them have started to grab the fasteners. Now you basically just want to tighten them down in a circular fashion. Maybe do about 2 or 3 rounds, tightening them all down just a little bit until they're completely tight. Okay, this is absolutely ridiculous. I have to do something about this wrench. And once you have them all tight, you'll be able to tell here on the back by all of these bolts sticking through roughly an equal distance. All right, let's put some air in it. Now for reassembly, you've got this weird bolt head looking tube thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and thread it through with the bolt head on this side. Now you have to remember, there's that little metal piece in the middle here which may not be lined up, which actually it's lined up perfectly right now. But if you can't get this to go through, what you can do is take a flat blade screwdriver and put it through on the other side just to kind of get that inner part lined up. And then this will slide right in. Now once that's in there all the way, you want to take this other bushing over here, slip this back on here. Oh, that's actually plastic. So slip your plastic spacer on there. Then line your wheel up in here. Now no grease at all is required on any of this. You actually want this stuff to be dry and clean. So you can kind of hold this tire up here just enough to kind of get a bolt started, a couple threads by hand. And then once that one's started, we'll stick the one in on the other side. Get them as tight as you can by hand first. And then we're gonna start on this side here. So stick your 3/4 inch wrench in here. Get your ratchet. I'm just using a 1/4 inch drive one. There we go. You don't want to go too crazy when you're tightening it because you can strip all this stuff out in here. Now let's go back to the other side. We'll keep our 3/4 inch wrench installed. We'll tighten down this side as well. Once again, just go really snug but not overly torqued. And our tire should spin freely. Luckily there's still a piece of sticker on here. And there we go. Brand new tire. Now it wobbles just a little bit, that's normal. These tires are not perfect. They're not designed, you know, to go on a vehicle at like 50 miles an hour. All right, there we go. That took probably 45 minutes or an hour. Granted, I had to deal with broken tools and saw this one in half so I could make my own drill bit thing. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get the rest of these taken care of now. All right, there we go. Got all the tires changed out on this thing. Nice new tires on the front, new tires on the back. And that's basically it. Hopefully this explained everything that you need to know when you're changing your Castor wheels. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a DM on Twitter or post a comment on this video. And yeah, hopefully it saved you some money.